July 31st. July 31st, 2024. Traci and Wulwyn here. Season 5, EP 13.
I mean,
How are
July.
you?
Like, what the heck? Where the heck did
Uh,
it go?
July. Can you imagine? 7th month. Wow. How are you,
Yeah,
Traci?
I'm doing well. How was your? We still got our music on. How was your trip home?
It was eventful and full of excellence, I would say. So 23 hours, a couple of layovers. Um, uh, but I had my best friend's son, whom I brought, right? So we had to do all the paperwork, notaries, saying that I wasn't taking him illegally.
You weren't abducting him
Uh,
out of the country legally, yeah.
correct, correct. So I had that, and he was 11. But I tell
Mm,
you this, and I think we're jumping straight into this. Remember when we spoke a while ago in person, 3 weeks ago, we talked about um, falling into abundance, right? And not falling into to issues or having concerns about, is it going to be bad? No, it's going to be excellent. It's going to be great. So that thing has been, that concept has been orbiting around me. And here's what happened. Go to church. I think the next week, pastor is talking about Romans 5:17, where by one man death reigned, and by another we've received an abundance of grace and righteousness through Christ. And this abundance enables me to just, I've received it. It's a process of receiving the abundance. And I have been noticing every single day, and I told Verlin last night, we're going to be at night, we will speak about the favor and grace we've received on that day, to just observe them and state them. And I'll tell you this, I finished two bathrooms in the house because they were still in 1998 form since we bought the house. Changed it, really changed it into 2025. um, but I tell you this: the at Lowe's, I was getting things 50% off, things that weren't on sale. $10, something that was 40, $50. The lady looks at me and says, I'm gonna mark it down, $10. And I'm like, are you? She said, I
going
just
on a
like
business sale? What the heck?
$10 without a business sale. But listen to this. Fast forward to getting on the plane. So I have this 11-year-old. He's not young enough to for me to be in priority. So he's old enough to stand and wait.
Mhm.
However, I look at the ticket. The ticket has he has 51K and I'm on 41C. And I go to the ground agent and say, look, can you please? She looks at it. She says, nah, I'm not gonna do it. I'm like, okay. I go and sit. But I pray, Father, give me favor. In less than 5 minutes, they call his name. We get up and I go and I say, yeah, it's him. They say, well, oh, we thought he was traveling alone. I'm like, no, I'm traveling with him. However, the tickets, he's sitting way on that side. She says, oh, let me see. That lady goes and she shifts people on that plane and puts us in a proper seat together. But now listen to this. I go, can I have priority boarding? She says, don't worry. As soon as I say first class priority, stand here, I'm gonna let you go. 10 minutes later, priority, first class, I go. She says, "Hi, welcome." Now, this same lady was frowning. If you ever travel to Africa, there are roughly about maybe 300 people waiting in line, and understand that those 300 people waiting in line have different issues ongoing. And then there's a language barrier, and just I mean, a lot of things happening. She is angry. I mean, she's just seething, talking with people. When I get there, she's okay. I want to take care of it. I want to do this. And I'm looking at her and I'm seeing a difference. After we do it, I forget my bottle at the station. I go in the plane, Tracy. When I sit and put my bags up, she says, I go, oops, where's my bottle? I go to the air hostess and say, can I go out and get, she says, whoo, you're on the plane and you know what to say. As soon as you get off, you can't get on. As soon as you get on, you can't get out. So I go to the front and I ask, can I get, she says, the guy goes, sure, let me take you. This man takes me up the gangway. I get up there. When I get there, um, all of them are smiling at me, going, I get out, I go get my bottle. They're smiling. I take it. I say, thank you so much. They go, "Ah." I leave. I get back on the plane. As I'm getting on, the air hostess at the gate says, oh, congratulations. I get on. But here's where I'm going to end it. While we were up there, as she was handling my business, there was another gentleman there saying, is she still working on yours? And I go, yeah, she is. And he's upset. He's angry. When she gets through with me and I go to the side, he stands there and says, I've been waiting here for more than 10 minutes and you haven't even. And something just rose up in me. And I went to him and I tapped him on his shoulder and I said, do you know that a soft, kind word turns you into favor versus you being so aggressive to her? I said, so try it. I reverse. I look at his face. He goes, hi. Do you know that woman turns to him and starts to work with him? The bottom line is this: as we're falling into grace and abundance and righteousness, it behooves us to understand that our behavior, we must have the fruits of the spirit of kindness, gentleness, long suffering, being loving in our engagement with people, or else you can receive all that abundance of grace and righteousness and favor. If you stink, trust me, you're gonna get stinky behavior. We
I
jump
love
right in
that.
it.
Well, and it's such an unfold, like, I mean, like you unpack that one, completely.
Mm,
And I think we say it, that what is it? A spoonful of sugar, like it gets you more than vinegar or whatever. I don't know what the saying is, but like, it's,
mm,
but I think there's a difference between putting it on and being it.
yes.
I can put
Yeah.
on all the nicest clothes in the world and look like I'm a real classy person. But if I have
Mm,
behavior that's less than classy, it doesn't matter what I'm wearing.
ooh,
And so I think
ooh.
there's a difference between, like I said, putting it on and being it, and embodying. We talked about this last time, and embodying that which you want to see more in the world. You want
Yeah.
more favor, be more favorable.
Oh,
You want more opportunities, be more, and I'm saying this word in its rightful meaning, be more opportunistic. Don't take advantage of
mm,
people. Cultivate and capitalize on what God gave you to give to the world. If you have love in your heart, give it. If you have money in your wallet, give it. If you have, I mean, unless you need it for yourself, but like if you have something to give it. I mean,
yeah.
it's such a simple concept, but especially what I'm seeing now is there is a huge like within seconds, like what you basically spoke to it telling that story.
Mm,
Within
mm,
seconds you'll notice a
mm,
shift
mm.
if
A
you
shift.
embody it, not if you're pretending to get your way. That's
Yes.
manipulation.
Yes. That's
That's
you
not the
can't
same
do
thing.
that. Nope.
Like
You can't.
pretending to be nice to get your way. Yeah, no, that's not what we're talking
Mm-mm,
about, folks.
mm-mm,
It's
mm-mm.
if you really stop and say, okay, if I were to die in 10 minutes, how do I want this rest of my life
Ooh.
to be? What do I want to give the world from this last 10 minutes of my life? Because that's all I have to
Yes.
give.
Yes.
And
Yes,
so that
Tracy.
idea of who do I want to be is such a profound one because it
Mm,
isn't just
mm,
about getting our way, getting what we want, getting
mm.
having a smoother experience, whatever. It's literally about this legacy, like what am I leaving behind? What is the impact of my energy in the world right now? Am I
Yes.
taking
Yes.
or am I truly giving something of value
And
that
Tracy,
can uplift and help the world grow in a better way?
no, Tracy, I want you to continue, but I just want to interject right there. Some people perceive themselves to be so that their impact doesn't mean anything. And
Mhm.
that's where they're wrong. You have to know you're here, and we said this last week, you have to take space. You don't have to ask for it. You have to be it, as you said. We have to embody it. And when you embody it and you exercise and push it into the world, you will see things start to shift. Like I said it earlier, it's things are shifting. But please, Tracy, sorry for butting in. Please
Oh,
continue.
no, 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 that's a good point. I mean, it
Woo.
really is. We have to know it. As I talk to clients about the 4 step, and I mentioned this before, but there's the awareness and engagement period where we become what we awaken, right? We
Mhm.
wake up to the things we didn't see before. We have this development of awareness. And with that new information, that new data, that new, opening of our eyes, we're going to engage with that information, try it on, throw the spaghetti up against the wall to see what sticks, right? We're going to see what's true, what maybe isn't, what's illusionary, but we're going to try it out. We're going to be like, okay, I got this, I got this new thing. Now I'm going to try it out. What that allows us to do, hey, Heather, what that allows us to do is eventually get to the place of ownership. But if we don't
Mm,
own, like, to what you were just saying, if we don't own
mm.
our value in the world,
Yes. Yeah.
part of what I tell people is you need to discover it, you need to define it in order to articulate it,
Correct.
but then you also need to own it.
Mm,
Because if
mm,
we're just speaking from this place of I think I am or I want to be or whatever, you gotta own that stuff.
mm.
You gotta like you said, own your space. You gotta be in that space. You gotta
Yes.
claim it. So many people are waiting to claim their space. They're waiting for somebody else to tell them they're valuable. They're going from relationship or job to job, just hoping that somebody is going to bestow upon them this sense of meaning and purpose and value
Mm,
by either what
mm.
they pay them, what they say to them, or whatever. The world does not need us to wait for it to tell us the value we hold. It is waiting for us to determine what that value is and choose to
Woo,
be it.
woo.
That that's the name of the game.
That what you said just now. There's a Bible verse that says, "Earth is waiting for the children to speak, so that it puts forth what it has." We we
Mm,
we have to do. We sit and we're silent. By our lips, we live. Now, most times, what we speak are things that we thought about, or there are things that are in our subconscious that are real that just comes out. So when we go ahead and we start to say, "Oh, I'm gonna die," you're already dead. You don't have to close your eyes and feel your pulse and your DOA. Nah, you already DOA when you speak DOA. I mean, when you speak death, start speaking what you want to see. If your engine is generating the wrong output, eavesdroppers, it's time to go back to it and retool, because in retooling you're going to start to see. And Traci, 3 weeks ago when we were talking this thing, three weeks when I met you and we spoke about this abundance, and I even had a play with words, a pun, ABUN dance, right? So you're doing a bun dance, so we laughed at it. But when I started to open the veil and just put my head in there and say, huh, abundance is here. Abundance started to flow, and it's just flowing. So eavesdroppers, if you can, truly change your words, change your thought process, and own that space that you see yourself, because nobody's going to put you there. It's going to be
So
a crabby situation.
yeah, so abundance, I feel, is something we're always.
Mm,
It's like when you were talking
mm,
earlier. I'm like, yes, a lot of people think of it as something we have to chase, like money. We're gonna chase abundance. I'm like, no, you don't even have to. Like, you need to be abundant. You need
ooh,
to be expansive. Like that's
Traci.
basically the energy. Because people say, well, I can tell how somebody is based on their actions. I'm like, you can't always. Actions can hide true meaning all the
Mm,
time. And also, just because somebody isn't acting doesn't mean they don't care. So it's like you can't always tell through action, but you
yes.
can through energy. And
Mm,
if we start to get better at, and we have all the gadgetry we need, we've been bestowed with all of the abundance of data collecting that we need to be able to read people's energy. It's like people
mm,
say, oh, that person had a good vibe or a bad vibe or whatever. Like we use
mm-hmm.
language all the time, or, there was just something about that person. We're reading energy. We're getting that energetic read on that person. They may not be doing anything. They may not be saying anything. They might actually have a complete blank look on their face. They may not even be showing with their
Gotcha.
facial expressions anything.
Gotcha.
We can
Gotcha.
still read them. And we've gotten so, so yes, we can read all those other things too, but those other things can lie. I remember my daughter finally saying to my husband when I know she was young. She asked him, she says, "Daddy, are you angry?" And he says,
Mm.
"Honey, no, I'm not angry at all." She says, "Your face looks angry." And she goes,
Ooh.
"Your face looks angry a lot." Because he has this resting face because he's thinking a lot. It looks, so we can't always, like, she was really confused. Like, why is daddy angry? All the
Wow.
time. Um,
Wow.
and he's
Wow.
the most not angry person I know, which is kind of the irony of it. But so you
Wow.
can't. If a stranger across the room saw him sitting, at the airport or whatever, they'd probably think he was an angry old man. Well, not old, but angry man.
I know.
Um, yeah.
Ah,
But
correct that.
like in it, like yeah, like one of those.
Yeah.
What's wrong with him? Like,
Grumpy. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
what's his business? But so I think that we want to move beyond. Like, we're in this time where we kind of can, we're giving the opportunity we can. More of us are awakening to recognizing there's more subtleties. It's get back to the simplicity. I've been hearing from so many people, like, I
Mm.
just want to get rid of my cell phone. I got off all in social media. I just don't want all the distractions in life. I want to get back to what's important. I want to get back to what's real. And I think
Mm.
that that's the thing in people's reality. Reality is what you make it. So what's real for you is what you choose to have real for you. But what I love about that is that they're choosing. They're really saying freedom is your ability to be without limits.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Woo.
knowing that, if you want to be not distracted by social media, that's the reality you want to experience, then that you get to claim, right? You get to own that, but it
Mm.
means you doing it. Somebody's not going to come
Yeah.
along and go, hey, if you get off social media, then you'll be less distracted, then you'll be happier in life, you'll have more abundance. Like, we can sit here and talk about these things, but we all have to claim what's right for us. What is going to constitute a real good experience in this world. And for
Mm.
everybody, that's a bit different. So I love also too what you described, because it showed. And the cleaners are coming in, so let me get up. I didn't close my door, so everybody's
Don't
gonna
worry, don't worry.
see me get up, but I'll be back.
No, but no, you're right. You're right about that. I like what you said about the ability to be without limits, freedom, the freedom to go ahead.
Yeah,
You
as I get
know,
back in my seat. Yeah. So
you you wore some nice pants. If I get up, I don't think it's gonna be a nice picture.
well, you at least have pants on. Yeah, yeah, I can print like I have pants on. So yeah, here we go.
No, but go
Like
ahead.
we really get to know each other, and like how we're coming to the camera these days.
I know.
But thank you. They're just jeans, so I mean, it's like,
Hey, trust
I
me.
wear. I am such a jean girl. Like I will wear jeans. Like people are like, it's a summertime. I'm like unless I'm outside, I just love jeans.
Rock those jeans. Hey,
I'm just
hey,
thank you. I love them. So
rock them, sis.
I have my husband's like, do you really need like 15 pairs of jeans? I'm like, yes, I do. I also need
Hey,
14 shoes.
it's in your jeans.
It's in my jeans. It is actually. My mother was quite into fashionista. I had this woman, so I have to share this. This is really funny. So
Share
my
it.
mother,
Share it.
I love thinking about my mother.
Mm,
And
mm,
my mother
mm,
was she was actually third runner up in the Miss Colorado contest.
mm.
I don't know what year that was, but so
Okay.
she was like homecoming queen. She was like the beauty queen kind of person. She was in the beauty contest and all this stuff. She was a model. She was a dancer. She was all these things. So
Mm.
I'm in the store the other day getting some things, and this lady says to me, she's like, I'm checking out, and she goes, "Can I ask you a personal question?" I mean, that's such a loaded question, isn't it? I mean, you kind of
Mm,
figure people, like, if they're not going to be asking to, you never know. But and I said,
mm.
"Sure," and she said, "Are you a model?" And the words that came out of my mouth were like, "Oh gosh, far from it." I was like, that was my mother, But people have asked me a lot if I was a dancer, and I think it's because I have this long neck, a giraffe neck. So it's I have the kind of the constitution of a dancer. But that was my mom. She had I was thinking of my mom. I was like, oh, that was my mother, and she's like, well, obviously you got her genes.
There you
Um,
go.
and I said, well, thank you. I really appreciate that. But I thought to myself, oh, good Lord, like that's the furthest thing from a model.
What was your mom's name?
Donna,
Donna.
Donna
What was
Wulwyn.
Waltman? But what when she was in
Oh,
the
Calson.
spell that
Donna Calson. Yeah, her maiden name was Calson.
spell that
So
for me.
Kallsen.
Okay, I was doing some research here quickly to see third runner from Miss Colorado, and
I've got a text. Somebody sent me. I think it was one of my. It was one of my aunts. So her youngest sisters, one of their cousins,
uh-huh.
sent her the. I'll have to bring it up and send it to you at some point. But was both her wedding picture, because they used to put the wedding pictures in the newspaper. And so
Uh-huh.
it was a shot of her at her wedding,
Oh
and then
wow.
also in the Miss Colorado contest,
Oh
there were
wow.
these cutouts
You know,
from the newspaper. Yeah,
you
um,
know, you said something you love to remember your mom. Last night when I was cutting my hair and grooming, I just started to call my dad's name, right? Just Leopold Qualnier-Port, Leopold Qualnier-Port, Leopold Qualnier-Port. And I said it for maybe 5 minutes. And afterwards, it was, I will keep calling your name for Earth to remember and for me to honor you, right? For me to state your name in this space, in a place where we're living, in a place where people are hearing, in a place where we're breathing, and we go, oh yeah, he was here, Leopold Qualnier-Port. And part of that is me, right? When you see me, I'm an embodiment because I'm part he's my mom and dad, I'm part my mom and part my dad. So I when you said that, it was, really, really touching for me to, you
Mhm.
have to remember them. Some people go through the process of remembering and saying, "Oh, I don't want to remember because it brings back memories." And I really can't, but hey, you have to remember those who have gone and honor them in a way that keeps them here, right?
That's so true.
Yeah,
Well, and
yeah.
I think that we get to I mean, those of us who are still alive, we get to have those. We are, like you said, to your point, we are a part of those people, right? We
Mhm,
carry
mhm.
parts of them. My mom. So Calson is actually a Dutch name. So on
Okay.
her father's side, they were Dutch, and that's where we
Mhm.
get all the height in our family. Like my brother is 6'7", um,
Okay.
and I'm like short for the family. Like,
Mhm, mhm.
but that's where kind of the long limbs. We all have really long
Correct.
limbs and everything. So
Correct.
that's where that comes from is the Dutch side, and my father's side is all English.
Gotcha.
So the
Mm.
stubbiness comes from although some British people are tall, but like my father's side, they were.
You are a trip.
I
You
just
know?
always joke. Those
I
books
know.
that you can, like, have you ever seen those books where you could put together, like, there used to be a dinosaur one that I loved when I worked at this one store, and it had a book
Uh-huh.
section, and I used to just laugh because you could put all these different animals together, and
Uh-huh.
it would be the name of the like dinosaurs, I think, because dinosaur names are really long, and they cut the dinosaur into three parts, and you could flip up different
Okay,
parts,
yeah,
and it
yeah.
makes a different dinosaur based
Gotcha.
on the different parts that you put together, and it also makes a different dinosaur name because each
Uh-huh.
part has a part of the name, right? So I used to love that kind of thing. Well, I used to joke that that's what happened to me because from my waist up, I'm Dutch. From my waist down, I'm English. Like, my parts don't go together. I'm super long. Like when I get out of a car, people are expecting me to be like 6'2" because all my height is in my upper body. And I get out and they're all like, "Oh."
You know, you say that Verlin, her legs are long, and then her from
Upper
top from
body.
mid upper body is kind of short. So
I'm the opposite. I mean, most people are like, no, and I think it's because I have muscular legs. It makes them, to me, look stubbier because everything else is really, really long.
gotcha,
But
gotcha.
it's just, yeah, no. So when anybody, like, when she asked, like, "Are you a model?" I'm like, I mean, inside my head, I'm thinking, like, I don't know what I
Nah.
would model for. Like, I got these weird parts. But I was gonna share this, really, because we were talking about family and remembering.
Uh-huh.
And sometimes,
Gotcha.
people say it's painful, like I don't want to remember because it's painful. And
Mm.
and we've been having an interesting time with my, selling my mom's home. It's been literally
Gotcha.
one thing after another. Like the
Mm.
HVAC has been out for her house is in
Mm.
Arizona. The HVAC company has been like, oh, we need this part. Oh, we got the part and it was broken. Oh, now we need this tool. I mean, and finally we're like, my brother and I are like, we need to go with a different
I
HVAC
know.
company. But we're like, I mean, meanwhile, they can't show the house because it's like 90 degrees in there. And so it's been, I mean, literally the garage door broke. All these things were happening,
Wow.
had been happening. And one of my friends who does feng shui, she's like, there might be blockage. And, maybe you don't mind, like, calling somebody that near there, because I have my aunts there, and just calling your aunt,
Mhm.
and she could do like a Zoom walkthrough with me, and I can see, because feng shui is all about the energy of a space, and
Gotcha.
maybe there's something in the space that's inhibiting or creating these things. And long story short, my brother and I've been talking, and he said it finally. He's like, all these things. He goes, I'm just ready to let it go.
Hmm.
And that's what my friend said after she watched. She's like, I feel like the house is like holding you, and your brother have not been ready to let go. I mean, you really haven't been
Mm.
given all that much time. It was kind of
Wow.
like, you honor your
Wow.
mom in the space, and then boom, you got to put it on the market. And like,
Wow.
I can really feel that because one of the things I have been kind of amazed at, because my mother and I had a very strong uh intuitive connection in life.
Mm.
Like we could always feel each other. Like I could feel when, I would call her when I was feeling her and she was like, "Oh, I'm so glad you called today. This was a really good time for you to call." Or if I
Gotcha.
needed her, she would always, she rarely called, especially when I was younger. But then when she would, it was always when I was like going through something and I really needed her. So we
Gotcha.
always had that. So I was surprised that when she passed away that I couldn't feel her energy. Really surprised. And it's been kind of
Hmm.
sitting on my heart. So I
Yeah.
went to my acupuncture session last week,
Hmm.
and my acupuncturist, did the different needle points based on what I said I've been experiencing. And she came back in afterwards and she asked the same question she always asks. She's like, "How was that?" And I
Hmm.
said, "Well, strangely emotional." She goes, "Well, tell me about that." I'm like, "I don't really have much to say other than I just felt a lot of emotion. I don't know why. I have no story behind it. I just felt very
Mm.
emotional." And she says, "Okay, I think we have one more point." And so as soon as she put it in, I was pointing my hand. As soon as she put it in, I knew it was a heart point. I could feel it. Like
Wow.
I was like, "Ooh," she goes, "It may be intense." She's like,
Mm.
"I'm gonna promise. I think I'm gonna tell you it may be intense." And that's not painful. I mean, it is more painful to put it in the hand or the bottom of the foot because it's tougher skin. But it
Gotcha.
wasn't about that. It was like I could just feel this pulling on my heart. It just was like
Mm.
the whole time she goes, "I'm gonna leave you for about 15 minutes." She goes out of the room. I had no control. Emotion just poured out of me. Like I was
Wow.
trying not to boo-hoo so that the people in the waiting room didn't get worried. But I mean, it was just emotional, like
Wow.
just total release.
Wow.
And
Wow.
I couldn't stop it. I couldn't
Mm.
really control it. It just happened.
Mm. Mm.
And when she came back in, she goes, I mean, I was just like sopping, wetting, like hosing me down. But I told her, I said, I have to thank you for that. I feel my mom. I was like, that had to
Mm.
have been a heart point. She says that was the heart point.
Wow.
And I just
Wow.
needed a little help, right?
Wow.
Feeling that. But I could feel my mom after that. So it's like I can
Mm.
feel her now because that
Wow.
part of me got opened up. But I think, we do need that assistance sometimes. I mean, once we
Mm.
get it, it's amazing what the body does. It's really quite
Mm.
incredible.
Mm.
But, just to be remembered, it's like I didn't even know. That was a blind spot for me. Like I feel
Wow.
like I have so much, that I have felt so much, but there's always more that because we're afraid. That's a lot of times why we armor up. We're afraid
Mm.
also too to dream and feel abundance because we're afraid of being disappointed. So we are
Mm.
unconsciously trying to protect ourselves from the loss, but what we're also doing is protecting ourselves from the gain. Like we block
Woo.
off. We are not able to receive the abundance because I'm not able to feel my mother because my heart was closed because it hurt so much.
Mm. Mm.
So we end up unconsciously not even knowing, like putting all our energy into trying to protect ourselves, but then we don't feel the good stuff either.
Wow. Two things, and at the end, I had something to say first as you were going, but at the end, I'm going to say what you said last, and that I think that's what forgiveness does. When you forgive yourself and forgive someone, you open up space now to receive. Whereas it takes a lot of work to have concerns and hate and unforgiveness in your heart, where you are constantly thinking about that. I mean, that's the other spectrum. But moving to the first part that you said, my grandfather passed away in 1987. I think I shared this with you. He passed away in 1987. We're pretty close. He slept in the bed with me because I was the smallest. So he would sleep in the bed with me when he would come from Crosserville to Monrovia. So we, really got a bond. Taught me how to do public speaking, how to write, just a bunch of different things. So I had a bond. And when he passed, I I shied away from going to the graveyard, the cemetery, to see him going in there because for me it was closure that he wouldn't be there. So I got on a pickup with my cousins to go and get a couple drums of drinks to bring back for the repast. Hmm. 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 99, 2000, 2005, 2007. 2008. I am in the shower and something just hits me. It just hits me, Tracy, and I am. You wouldn't tell. I think there were more tears than the than the shower coming on me, and I just
You
Verlin
were in a
comes
good
in the
place
back.
for it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So Verlin comes around, and what's happening? I'm like, oh, my grandfather died. Oh. And she goes, when? Oh, ask me why. She said, when did he die? I said 1987. She's like, whoa, we're 2007. I'm like, I don't care, I don't know. And I just kept crying and crying. And after that, so that went on for about good 10, 15 minutes. And after that, something just lifted off me. And I was free. Don't know what it was, don't know how to explain it, but that load got off me. Eavesdroppers, I tell you this, and I think I see Jojo. Jojo is on here. If he's been quiet today, but I think you just had your sister just passed a couple months ago, and it's just so strange how we talk these things, and people are hearing it. Remember her if you're on here, and for eavesdroppers who will be replaying, remember them. Uh, do that. If you haven't grieved it, there's a time coming where you will open up and truly grieve and start to feel again, because it's it's human. It's
Yeah.
human. It's so human that it's on human to not do that, and then you get in a space where you're closed, and you
Yes.
close on one aspect, but you close on multiple
Yeah.
multiple
You
realms.
close your heart, it's closed to everything. It's closed to the good stuff. It's closed to the bad stuff. Yeah, it's closed. It's so
Mm,
interesting.
mm.
So a day after that, my daughter, my birthday was the day before that experience with the acupuncturist, and so I said, "You gave me the best belated birthday gift." It's like, I feel my mom now. And a couple days later, my daughter's birthday gift for me came in the mail because it was delayed. And so she gave
Okay.
it to me. And I'm not typically a crier. Like I feel emotion, but I don't typically like it doesn't come out my face. um, and she gave me. I'm wearing it. Actually, it's a locket, and on the
Okay.
back it says "Love you, Mom." And
Mm.
inside it has a picture of both of us. On one side, it's
Oh
her when
wow.
she was little, and a more recent picture of the two of us together. And
Mm.
she gave it to me. And it was in this beautiful box and everything. And I opened it up, and it just was like tears projectile tears. She's like, "Oh, Mom."
I didn't mean that.
So she's like, "I guess you like it." I love it. And I had no control over it. I had no, like, it
Oh
was probably as much
wow.
surprising to me as it was to her. And, I mean, I'm just like,
Mm.
and so because I'm
Wow.
feeling stuff now, like
Mm.
I'm able, things are flowing,
Wow.
but what's interesting
Wow.
too about that is I had that appointment on Thursday. We started some preparations. We're just kind of moving things around. We decided to go with a different HVAC company for my mom's, back to my mom's story, please.
Correct.
Well, my brother and I, like, okay, this is it. We're going to make some changes. We're going to,
Mm.
hire some different people. And all of a sudden things start lighting up.
Wow.
And within,
Wow.
I thought, oh, I'm going to have to do all this research. Okay, fine. And just things dropped into place, the right
Mm.
people, the right things. I mean, it got to the point where literally we've been waiting 2 months for this HVAC company that we've been with. Within 2 days,
It's done.
the new place had gotten the part, got out there and did an estimate, figured out what was going on, got the part, and fixed it.
Mm.
2 months,
Mm.
2 days.
Wow.
And
Wow.
the difference was that we both were like, okay, we're ready. We're done.
Correct.
We're
Correct.
moving forward. Like we get to move on.
Wow.
And I
Wow.
just feel like, as soon as my friend, the feng shui person said, I just feel, I mean, what I can tell you is, yeah, there's some things you could fix and change, but what I kept feeling from the space is that it's waiting for the two of you to let go.
Wow. What I'm getting from this also is, is for me and eavesdroppers is when we see those sometimes hindrances are caused by external um reasons, but then there are internal elements that also
that are
causes
driving.
that
Well, no, it's
cause
driving the external stuff. It absolutely is.
correct,
Everything's energy, so it absolutely is
correct.
driving.
So it's key that we be honest with ourselves, right? And sometimes we don't know. Sometimes we don't know, and it's seeking and saying if I pray this, I say, if it's an external hindrance, obstruction, help me to overcome it. If it's internal, also help me to overcome it, because you don't as much. I see life living as a quest. We don't know how to do it. We've been given this breath to do it, but then there are intricacies in here that we're armed to work them, but it takes time for us to understand it, right? So
It's
so
a blind
as we
experience.
as we engage it, we have to be graceful to say, I've seen this before. I may know how to operate to engage it, but there may be some slight issues, slight deviations, slight differences in here that what you're bringing to the table from your past experience does not fix this. So you really have to be graceful to yourself and say, if I fail, I'm okay, but I feel forward, because you're learning something new from this experience that will help you, go forward in the future. But I tell you that when and I wanted to ask the question, so what happened to the house? And thank you so much for bringing that in. That's wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, so it's, I mean, we're still looking to sell it, but I mean, I've been feeling from the beginning. My mom, it was her last creative project.
Mm,
And she just, I mean, it was extraordinary. And I think that's part of what we've been kind of like, oh, we watched things just deteriorate because they haven't really been taken care of.
yeah, yeah.
And so it's been hard because being at a distance, and so you can't control certain things. You have to learn to to trust and all of that. And but then also too, it's been a lesson in discernment. You can trust to a certain point, but then if you're not getting needs met, you got to be able to draw that line in the sand and say, this is how I want to proceed forward. And so it's
Mm,
been really wonderful. But the other piece my father pointed out was, my brother and I, you've always, growing up, we got along great. And we just haven't really been in each other's lives for so many years as adults. And I think being different people
mm,
and making very different decisions in life, we started to grow apart. And
yep.
this whole thing has brought us back together. And so,
Amen.
as my father said, I know that was something on your mom's heart, that you and your brother, you know, weren't coming together as easily. And this has been a way to bring you together. I'm like, oh, yeah, don't think that that's gone unnoticed on my part. Like, I keep thinking if
Wow.
it's all like, it's never about the story. It's always
Wow.
about the lessons and the opportunities for growth and for betterment. And so if I look at my brother and I have been rock solid since day one, like on
Whew.
every single decision, what to do with her car, what to do with the furniture, what to do with like how to divvy things up. Like that's where things can get
Mm,
rocky with family members. Like, no, I want that. No,
yes.
I don't
Correct.
understand that.
Correct.
I mean, I watched that kind of, and both my brother and I are just like, I mean, there were a couple times we both wanted something, and he's like, well, I'm curious, what were you thinking about it? And I would tell him, and I was like, and what were you thinking about it? And either I or him would go, you know what, you should have it.
Oh
Like
wow.
it's just everything. If they only came up over like two or three things, and it
Mm,
was just like, no, you should have it. Well, and I just had the last one, so you get this one. Like it's
ah,
just that's just how we are. But I think that that's the whole
yes.
thing as people, as humans. It's like, how do you want to be with the people you love most? It's not about
Mm.
the stuff, right? It's about an opportunity to step up and be like, how do I show love? Like, yes, I
Mm.
love you, but I'm going to fight over this thing. Like, really? Why?
Wow.
You know? I
Wow.
mean, so
Wow.
I think that
Whew.
this just it's we went through a trial run with my dad because my dad was kind of trying to figure out what some of the stuff with his estate. So before my mom passed away, we had just been through that whole thing with my dad,
Hmm.
and it was harder because things aren't being separated equally, but it's not equal. Things in life
Yeah.
are not always fair
Nope.
because it doesn't always split down the middle. My father's been living with my brother and his wife and kids, for a while, so there's that responsibility that goes with that. So the
Correct.
fact they get the house, you know what I mean. And so you're really asked to divvy things up, not fairly, but justly. and
Yes.
and when you learn what you need to change in your own internal environment in order to be okay with the world, and then you just get practiced at it. And that's like, what's
Mm.
more important? Do I really feel unloved because I'm being given this and not that? Like,
Given.
really, is that? I mean, because if that is, if it's a show, if it's a lack of show of things that has me
Mm.
feeling less loved or not appreciated
Mm.
or treated whatever, I need to articulate that. I need to be
Yes.
able to talk and communicate that
Mm.
in a way so that I can get to a result that everybody's going to be happy with, but more importantly, that I get that feeling, which is I want to feel loved and appreciated, because
Yes.
you
Yes.
will get it if you allow
Mm.
yourself not to just sit in this. Well, I'm not being treated the way I should be treated, and I'm going to just take my ball and go home, which that was kind of my mo earlier in life. Oh, you're not treating me the way I
Ah,
want to be treated. I'm going to take my ball and go home. See ya. You're out of my
there you
life.
go.
It didn't. It doesn't. I can tell you from experience multiple times.
Yeah.
It doesn't. It's not the result I wanted.
Yeah.
What? So I
Yeah.
can feel righteous? So I can feel
Mm.
justified? I mean,
Mm. Mm. You I went through something years ago with a business where I did there were two things I learned. There was the right way and peaceful way of doing things, right? And I went the right way. It was the just way. It was what was supposed to be done. And in my years of now getting mature, I can see that moving forward, I'm going to always pick the peaceful way,
mm,
because the right way is not always peaceful. The right way can create some animosity, can create really bad blood, can create a way where people are truly offended. And then the peaceful way is what you were talking about just now, where am I am I loved by being given a thing, or am I loved just by being loved? So I'm not going to to base my the thing that I need to do on I'm right and I'm going to be right on doing this. Nah, I'm going to always choose the peaceful way. There was another thing
can
I
I
I,
ask
I
you about that? Can I ask you?
sure,
Can I interject really quickly and ask something about that?
sure,
So, what
sure.
happens if the if it's not peaceful? The way that you're being called to be
Hmm.
is disruptive.
Oh, so peace. So let's define peaceful, because I think that's going to answer that question. A peaceful way is where you're at peace. One, and there's the peace within the environment. So it's both of those things. So your
But you can't control
question,
the peace in the environment. You can
you
control your own sense of peace because people may still choose to be offended, even if you're
correct,
at peace.
correct,
Yeah.
correct. But there's an element of you have a control of a bit of that element in the environment. You have control of a bit. So
Hmm.
it's that peace plus me being peaceful with myself, because the right way, after I did the right way, I'm going, gosh, did I? This is where I wasn't at peace. Did I do the right thing? Did I? Is that those questions? So when those questions come, you're not engaging in that peaceful way. You went the right way. But I have something to bring up, and I wanted to get your idea, your view on it. I have a friend who's called to do great things. I mean, really big things, and the person has gone to, has risen to a level now where it's about it's almost at that level of the great thing. Within his environment, woo, snakes, scorpions, spiders, uh, and even finding out that this person is finding out that, oh my goodness, I can't get rest. And then there's family issues, there's friends issues, there are issues just in her orbit that's just draining, and this person can't sleep. But mind you, this person is truly called not at this level, but at that level. So this level is a training ground. They're not stopping here. They have to go there. What's your? I know we have what do we got 10
Like
9 more
10
minutes.
minutes.
I
Yeah.
know 10 minutes. What's your? I know it was very vague, and it's vague for a reason. What's your take on that?
Well, my take is that we choose our reality. And,
Hmm.
I don't know if I shared on this platform, but I've shared with a few of my clients, actually many of my clients, that in 2021, I meditate every morning. And I
Hmm.
know I've shared that here, that so I have regular meditation time. And meditation for me is quieting time. It's just, kind of that peaceful time in the morning to have an open, like almost like I don't like the word mindfulness because I think it actually goes against what you're supposed to be doing, which is get the mind out of it.
Get out.
So
Yes,
it's like more mindlessness. I need to be more mindless,
I
which I know
like
is,
that.
does not have a good connotation of meaning in our culture.
Hmm.
But that it's really just to allow in whatever information, whatever experience, whatever could be feeling, it could be, so it comes up as a variety of different things.
Hmm.
Rarely though does it come up as a vision. And
Hmm.
this particular time, so it was January 1st, 2021, first day of January, or first day of the year, and I was meditating, and I had a vision, and it kind of surprised me because, like I said, I don't typically have vision format. And it was actually a part of the movie The Titanic, and the vision was the part where the ship is almost completely submerged, so the butt end is just sticking up, and some people, and what I was made aware of, there were three groups of people,
Hmm.
where there were those that were going down with the ship either because they chose to or because of circumstance.
Gotcha.
There were those that were like, oh, I don't want to go down with the ship, so they were jumping in the freezing cold water hoping that they would be saved. um and then in my vision, there was this, it was almost like a train of lifeboats, and they all had lanterns on them. And every single day for that first week of January, I had this vision in my meditation, and I
Wow.
didn't know what it meant. And by the end of the week, I thought it was the end of times. Like we're all that's it, it's over. And then I think the next week I only know, I don't know what day the next week, but I was in a client session. I came out of the client session, and boom, I knew what the vision meant. And it the reason I'm telling this story is because I think it answers, well, at least my answer
Hmm.
to that question,
Hmm.
which is that we are all going to choose to awaken, and this is true of any time period, right? We're all going to choose to awaken to the level that we are wanting to, that we're ready, that we're prepared. Our soul is prepared to have that lesson, whatever that is.
Hmm.
And there are going to be some people who choose to stay in the old paradigm. I mean, that's basically in my vision what I recognized the Titanic, the ship, represented,
Hmm.
was the old paradigms, the old systems, the old ways in which we've done things. And some people are going to cling to that as things change. I mean, we see this all the time. People cling to the old and they cannot get on board with the new.
Correct.
And like the dinosaurs, they were too big and couldn't move
Mm.
fast enough to get out of the way of the changing environment.
Mm.
So they became extinct, and so this is always the case. If we cling too much to how things have been done and we're too closed off to, we're not agile or flexible enough, we're going to only be able to stay in a certain point. Right? If
Mm.
we don't open our hearts, we're not going to allow in all the abundance and of opportunity. And if we, it was like Scrooge, right? He
Mm.
held on to all his coin and he didn't let himself spend on anything, so he wasn't having any
Yeah.
experiences or any connection. So you're only going to move so far in life
Mm.
if you double down on what you know. So there's always going to be that group of people, and then there'll be the people who they're kind of like, all right, that's not working, but I don't know what else to do, so I'm just going to leap into the unknown. But they still are expecting the world to kind of come save them. They're still right. So
Mm.
that even in that group of people, there's those who swim to the boats themselves, and those who are like, help me, save me, save me.
Correct.
So, and then there's the boats represented visionaries and creatives, the people who tend to always at any time period bring in the next, bring in the new initiatives, new systems, new paradigms. And I was made apparent, it was made very apparent to me in that meditation and understanding that was the group I'm meant to focus on.
Mm-hmm.
So that was just a side note, but I think that as things shift and change, and they're just going to get faster. I've been telling my clients this. I said, we're going to really be, the new currency is going to be love, compassion, and
Mm.
kindness.
Whew.
We are going to go back to tribal. I don't mean tribal with bones through our nose kind of although, hey, maybe, if that's your thing.
Mm.
But we're going to go back to community as a core, that each of us knows we play a particular
Mm.
role, and have value in the tribe as what we can be, less of what we can do. I mean, obviously we do things based on who we are,
Wow.
but it will be less about the doing. It won't be the credentials and the looking, look at my CV
Mm.
and all of my accomplishments, and look at all of the, I went to Harvard and Yale and Princeton. It won't be that. People will care less
Mm.
about those things.
Mm.
And it's going to really be more about who you can be within the community, what you
Mm.
represent, like that be my one of my clients is in Missoula, and they just had a huge storm. I mean, large power outages for days. And one of the things that the local government was telling everybody was, go check on your neighbors, because they
Mm.
just couldn't get to everybody. I mean, thousands of
Yeah.
people were without power. They had thousands of trees go down. Thousands.
Wow.
This is an
Wow.
area very populated by trees. A lot of wood, heavy duty woodland
Mm.
areas. And I said, well, so I mean, she's in the midst of it, right? She was one of those people without power for days. And I said, well, so what was your experience? And she said she's like, I love seeing how the community came together. And, so
Oh
many
yeah.
people after 9/11
Mm.
said the same thing, is that you
Right.
have these big catastrophes. And, you'd like to believe it doesn't take that for people to remember what's important, but I think it is. And
True.
this is why we've had COVID, and what, all these things are happening, is to
Mm.
remind us as humans what's most important.
Mm.
And we
Mm.
get so far away from that, we forget even to connect with our own family members who we live
Mm.
in a household with.
Wow.
So I think we're going to see a huge shift. And for people who are like, no, my value is my coin, or my value is my title,
Mm.
I'm afraid to say that that's going to be a certain group that are not really going to progress.
Mm.
Um, again, no judgment, just it is what it is. I'm just saying what I see.
Yeah.
And I think so on that, for people who are called to a different place, one of the hardest things is going to be leaving those who choose not to.
Mm.
I don't mean leaving them like leave them behind in the dust, but being able to stay true to yourself and let them choose their own way.
Correct.
And it may divide families and businesses, and I mean, inevitably that's what happens. But I think what's going to be interesting is you start to see families and units that are able to live in diversity.
Mm. Wow.
and come together even and live together at the same time.
Ah, time has once again done it for us, to us, with us. We enjoyed today. Tracy, thank you so much. Really enjoyed this EP, 13, season 5. Thank you so much for listening in. A bunch of you are coming on this time. So we're saying take care
Yes,
and bye bye.
thank you.
Hey, Tracy.
See you soon.
Okay, bye bye.